Hello and welcome back to Talk of the Traitors. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend.
Hannah Townsend, what an episode of The Traitors.
That was so much fun to watch.
I know we said that every time, but this was like a genuinely good one. Like, this was way better than yesterday's episode. And I liked yesterday's episode, but this was explosive.
This episode of Traitors had everything going for it. We had a traitor reveal. We had a challenge that was actually really funny and interesting to watch. We also had a secret mission, which was high stakes.
Yes.
And the promise that the secret traitor is going to be revealed.
If I had to use one word to describe this series, it would be fast, expedient, in a hurry. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily planned it this way. You know, it's quite funny thinking about how, obviously, from the producer's standpoint, these shows are so carefully prepared. But then once it's in the hands of the contestants, it's out of your control.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they did not want the Judy daughter reveal to be in episode, 1 or whatever? But, of course, Judy went out.
So they had to.
Similarly, I guess the plan was always that the secret traitor, instead of doing a recruitment, the secret traitor would replace a traitor. I just don't think they expected them to get a traitor out in episode 3?
Well, on that note, do you think they selected Hugo to be a traitor in the thought that he might be caught out as a traitor pretty early on? Because the celeb traitors that we've just watched, it took them so long to find a traitor. It was actually quite painful to watch. And because of that, we didn't get a recruitment, which is actually one of the most fun parts of the game. And when they don't get a traitor out, it makes the game a little bit boring. Like, do you think they thought, let's put someone who is an obvious traitor and see if they get caught out?
Well, I don't know if it's a reaction directly to celebs, but this is a recurring problem just in traitors in general. They're not very good at getting the traitors out fairly because you've got nothing to go on. I think what's interesting about Hugo is that he's not actually an obvious traitor, but he's the obvious kind of person they always think is a traitor.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's never usually actually the type of person who gets picked as a traitor, but he's the one that contestants always go for.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think maybe they went, here's an easy one to get you started.
Yeah.
And he lived up to that completely.
Well, and he also, to be fair, dug his own grave. They weren't on him. His performance at breakfast was insane.
I think we may have seen our first genuine traitor's suicide. It's like he was trying to get out.
Whoever's done that is beyond mean. Hugo looked devastated that he has been caught out. That would be such a hit for the ego as someone who is great at arguing their point that he couldn't wheedle his way out of it.
Well, we had yet another great element of this episode, the Battle of the Barristers. We had Secret Barrister versus Out Barrister. I think what's so funny is that it was such a barrister argument in that it was so low-key. It was so professionally dispassionate.
Yes.
Neither of them allowed their voices to go above even like very low conversational tone.
Yeah, if you take that in comparison to James and Reese, where it was getting quite personal and it was like, I was speaking actually, and quite heated. Their one, it was like, I didn't actually make that point, but that's one to be added to the roster.
I think the I was speaking thing is a little bit of a dangerous trick to play. I think sometimes it can make you seem kind of like strong. I think sometimes it makes you seem a little bit prickly. Because sometimes it's just a back and forth sometimes. And I don't think James was being like particularly attacking at him.
What do you think about when Hugo interrupted Amanda and was like, we don't need you to mediate?
Yeah, especially because Fiona was about to accuse him.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because he wanted to be accused so he could defend himself.
Right, okay. So he was like, shut up.
He was like, shut up, Amanda, I need to defend myself. It was really rude.
That was rude, actually.
And weird, and kind of unlikable.
The thing that's not clear about the Secret Traitor is how much they are allowed to meddle with the game. For example, Harriet could have led that charge against Hugo, knowing full well he was a traitor.
Yeah.
We, as viewers, are unsure, like, the Secret Traitor knows who the traitors are. How much are they allowed to add to conversations and like drive theories as a Secret Traitor? I'm not sure.
I think they're fully allowed to do whatever they want because the thing is, even if you are driving a conversation, that can put a target on your back. Because then people start going, well, why are you making so many accusations? Maybe you're a traitor. And even if the person you're accusing is also a traitor, it always looks suspicious if you're directing the group.
Right.
And again, okay, yes, even if you manage to take out some of the other traitors, they've got numbers on you. So I think weirdly, it's sort of fairly balanced where you have an advantage because you're unknown, but they have strength in numbers.
But the smart thing would be to do a Harriet and get one traitor out, find enough evidence, make a case, get one traitor out, and then kind of, not be a traitor hunter, but this would be the move that I might do.
I mean, if I had to bet right now on who I think the secret traitor is, I think Harriet would be close to the top of my list.
I just don't know that a secret traitor would have done something so bold.
But I think you can do it so boldly because you know he's a traitor.
Yes.
And so you know it will make you look good. And also you can speak with total conviction.
Well, the funny thing is, us watching at home, when Hugo at breakfast said, whoever did that, it's beyond mean, we were like, come on, it's the worst acting ever. The secret traitor would have been watching that thinking, that's the worst acting ever.
Yeah.
And then used that to spin a web. I mean, could it be Harriet?
But also, the tide was already going towards Hugo anyway, and a smart secret traitor would just hop on the tide, or whatever the phrase is. I'm not a sailor.
Yeah.
Can I also talk about how Hugo had maybe one of the weirdest entrances to breakfast ever? The low crouch and clap. He was like, no, kind of like.
And then I think he blew a kiss as well. He did a low crouch clap, and then I think he went.
It was a quick clap, like a little elf. He kind of skipped because he opened the door and he almost wasn't visible because he was crouching and doing a little clap. It was one of the weirdest entrances.
It was so clear from the edit. The opening line of Traitors was Hugo going, I'm feeling great this morning. The traitors are winning. Everything is great. I was like, oh, okay, so Hugo's going.
Yeah.
And then he did go. And I was like, oh, come on.
This is us ruining the show for ourselves by understanding the language of editing too much. But the second, look, here's some advice for everyone. If they open the episode with someone being really cocky, it's usually bad news for that person.
Of course. They did it with Armani.
They did, yeah.
They showed clips and clips and clips of her going like, everything's actually going great. And when she said to Mina, she was like, you could speak up a bit more, you know? I loved Armani. Bring Armani back.
Well, was Armani kind of an obvious traitor? Is this a new thing they're doing where they've got like an easy mode one?
When Jade said to Amanda, obviously you're older than me.
Yeah. She said, the funny thing is you remind me of like a teacher that's telling me off because you're older than me and I'm younger than you. It's like, all right, you old bat. I mean, it's just like...
I just had to bring that up because I was like, why did she say that? She could have said, you remind me of a teacher.
Yeah.
And then she didn't need to say, because you're older than me, by the way.
And I'm young.
As if Amanda didn't already know that she was older than her.
One of the most fun things about Traitors is the little bits of dramatic irony, right? Where people unknowingly say things. We had two crazy ones in this episode. We had someone say, imagine if one of us was a detective. And then also later, Ellie literally used the phrase secret traitor. Both unknowingly. So fun.
So fun.
Which, by the way, the secret traitor wouldn't do. So it's obviously not her.
And if the secret traitor had done, they would not leave that in the edit.
No, it's too obvious.
She can't be the secret traitor, but it is funny.
I wonder if like everyone in the room while they were filming that went like, oop. Is this the strongest group of faithfuls we've seen on the Traitors in a while, maybe ever? Because we've seen some bad, clueless groups. This group is switched on.
They are brilliant. I think a weaker traitor group would have got Ross out either tonight or last night. He would have been gone. Mm-hmm. They also would have somehow debunked the theory that someone in that circle had to be a traitor when Ben was killed. I think they would have somehow like talked their way out of it. I really hope they follow that thread and keep going with it. They are strong.
I worry they won't. They're not very good at keeping threads going. Also, Stephen did a really bad job of defending himself, but no one really picked up on it. He didn't even say, I'm not a traitor. He just went, that would be crazy for the traitors to do, which is not a good defense.
Yes.
But I love that they threw this very obvious ploy of Ross at them, and they immediately went, well, hold on, because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense if Ross was a traitor to be like, I am going to murder someone who points directly at me.
Yeah.
So I love that they immediately were like, it's going to be someone in that room. Who's in that room? And special shout out to Jessie in particular. Jessie is really proving like the proper brains of the operation. She was like, who is in that room? Who could it have been? And they zeroed in on Stephen specifically.
Yes.
Kind of wild. And then later, Ellie and Ross were talking about it and they both said, we're still suspicious of Stephen, but they went, but let's not do it yet. Again, really smart. Let's hold on to that.
The only person still going with the Ross theory is Rachel. She's smarter than this.
I know.
What's she doing?
When she awkwardly tried to steer it back to him at the table, I was like, that's a little blatant. I mean, because I know she's a traitor.
Yeah.
Obviously, it made no waves at the time, but it's a little bit heavy-handed for her to be like, sorry, this thing that we've all debunked, I think it is true.
Yeah.
And her argument was just like, it's obvious, therefore true. And it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, maybe not. I think Amanda and other people in that circle know that she's smarter than this. It's a weird move to play.
Yeah, I think she may be a little bit more vulnerable than we or she thinks.
Yeah.
Because people have pegged that she's very smart. And I think if people start looking at like how she votes, it all gets a little inconsistent, I think.
If you had been Stephen and Rachel, would you have done the secret task? Because I actually don't know if I would have been able to do it. Rachel was so hell-bent on finding out who the secret traitor was. That was what was leading her above, like, is this a safe and smart move to do right now? Because, again, I think Rachel messed up when she was like, what about the family tree?
Yeah, I know.
If it somehow comes out that that's how they did it, it's going to be so obvious.
And also, when they were stood there with Reese, and she was basically like, can you leave us alone with the family tree? And he was like, you want me to leave you alone? I'll leave you alone. It's you're like leaving core memories in people's brains of you being here.
Also, if I was specifically asked to leave a conversation, that would stay with me.
Because they don't do that often on Traitors, where they're like,
Not
you
this
have
early.
to leave. No.
Towards the end, when they're all like plotting and scheming against each other, yes.
At the end, when it stops being fun and everyone
Yeah.
starts hiding in different rooms.
But like night 3, asking someone to leave a conversation when you're all supposedly strangers is a little bit, that would honestly like prick my ears up.
It's a little bit, dare I say, traitorish? If I may use a word that doesn't exist. Traitorish? Is this the first time they've been given a plain sight challenge that they had the option of not doing?
It's the thing with the poison chalice that if they don't manage to do it, basically they miss out on the opportunity of murdering someone. Whereas this one, if they just said, we can't do it, I guess it's the same thing.
Well, no, because they were really seriously considering
Not
not doing
doing
it.
it.
Like, Stephen didn't want to do it because I guess the thing they gain is that they get to know who the secret traitor is, and
Yeah.
that person joins them. But, like, it is so risky. I think it's probably the most risky thing they've ever had to do. I was, like, sweating imagining myself in that position.
I think Stephen messed up again. I think putting his name on the sheet was stupid because it's got to the point now where a traitor always puts himself in the dungeon. They always put themselves forward. We know that. Putting his name in the mix of the shortlist, I think was dumb.
You're so right, especially when he was in that room.
He didn't need to do it.
Also, there was a moment where I think he said one of us should be on there, and Rachel went, I don't mind if it's you. Do you think she was thinking 3 steps ahead?
Possibly, like, will it all go back to him?
Yeah.
They're tripping up a little bit.
But I think that's her slightly throwing him under the bus. You basically never want to be tied to anything.
Yeah.
If there's a game, you don't want to be involved in the game. You think about the coffins with Paloma Faith and everything.
Let's tally up the things that the traitors have done wrong. So Stephen, he was in the circle and then killed Ben.
Yep.
Silly.
Silly.
I think putting himself up for murder
Yep.
on the little dots
Yep.
is a dumb idea. They always put a traitor in there. His like circle is getting smaller and smaller of tallies up against him.
Yeah.
I think that was a bad move.
Rachel weirdly bringing the conversation back to Ross, I think was oddly suspicious. Everyone had clearly moved on. Everyone clearly did not believe that it was him. But
Yeah.
her being like, what about this very obvious traitors plot? Seems like a good idea, huh? And also her plan to get to the family tree being like, hey, Stephen, let's go to the family tree.
You speak Latin, right?
And hopefully we'll be left alone.
And then asking him to leave.
Asking Reese to leave too much.
It was all a bit bait. And then Hugo, I would say he kind of did everything wrong. And
But in very quick succession. Like, he wasn't too bad in the first 2 days.
I agree.
It was just this one day. It was pure hubris. It was actually all hubris.
I mean, you saw it in the way he walked into breakfast. I mean, he just thought he just knew everything and was so mighty.
You mean the weird low clapping? And a kiss. The second you start saying stuff in your VTs like, I'm so clever or it's going so great, you've gone too far. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. You're drinking your own Kool-Aid.
I wonder if the producers at this point are a little bit nervous because all of the traitors' names are coming up in a way that doesn't usually happen. Usually they all fly under the radar for a while.
Yeah, we're going to have like a full cycle of traitors by like episode 4. Because it's quite a long series, this, right? It's like 3 a week until the end of Jan. You got to get through 22 people.
You can be a traitor. You can be a traitor.
This will be the first series where everyone is related to each other and everyone gets to be a traitor at least once.
And everybody knows a famous comedian on the outside.
Yes.
Ellie and Ross very clearly know each other. The internet's done some sleuthing. He liked a LinkedIn post of her promotion. Also, their interactions together. There was a nice hug at the end there where he was like, thanks for today. They also were the two people where on the train where they were like, I live in London too.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
The thing with them is it's not that they have like an obvious romance or intimacy. It's just an obvious ease with each other. Like even when they were just sat talking about Stephen, there was like a real casualness. They're both like friendly people, but there was like a real easiness they had with each other that you just wouldn't have with someone that you'd spent like 1 week with.
Yeah.
So they at least know each other quite well. let me ask you this. How do you feel about the next level sleuthing that people do around traitors? Stuff like finding their LinkedIn posts, stuff like analysing the handwriting. Like, does it ruin the show for you?
It depends what it is. If you're analysing the handwriting, I don't mind that. I would hope that the show is smarter than actually getting the secret traitor to write on that scroll. I think it's a bit of fun. I hope a producer is writing on the secret scroll. Things like going back and looking at people's like Instagram posts and finding them on holiday and LinkedIn. I don't love that personally. I know it's all a bit of fun of the game, but I think the reveals, if I didn't know Ellie and Ross do seem to know each other and it came out later, I wouldn't have guessed these two people knew each other. Okay, the train situation was a bit weird, but it would have been more of a fun reveal. I feel maybe we are ruining it for ourselves a little bit. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think if it's within the world of the show,
yes,
I'm happy for people to overanalyze it. People were studying like the wall behind Claudia when she tapped the secret traitor and stuff, and we think they refilmed that anyway. But when people start getting into like their personal lives, because the show takes place in the real world, quote unquote, but it is a show. It's movie magic, it's TV, and I don't like going too far behind the curtain because I don't want to just know all the answers now.
No.
I want to enjoy the show and have it revealed to me in an entertaining fashion.
Yeah, I'm in exactly the same boat. Like, I'm here for the ride, and I would prefer big reveals and big surprises as we go through versus like, we already knew that.
Yeah, like if I'm going to go see a movie, I could go on Wikipedia beforehand and just read the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not going to the movie just to know what the ending is. I want to experience the movie. I don't know why I said it like that.
The boat sinks.
No.
Yeah.
In Avatar too.
This challenge was so fun to watch, which is something you'll catch me rarely saying about Traitors. But it was such a laugh. And I think Faraz really showed himself as a real joker. I hope we get to see even more of him. My favourite part of Traitors so far is when Stephen was he playing a cello?
Yes.
And it came through and they all went, and then Fiona went, he's got a gun. That was my favourite thing that's ever happened. Also, the reveal of the first photo, the cow milking, and the silence of the people receiving the photo. It was so funny.
It was so insane they couldn't even laugh. They were just like, huh. And they did a really good job. It's such a good example of like very British, gentle BBC humour, where all the paintings were sometimes a little bit cheeky or a little bit risque, but not too rude and whatever. And it just meant they were in silly positions, but it was very fun.
I agree.
Considering normally you're kind of like, yeah, let's get on with it with the challenges. This one was good. Also, Maz, paintings expert.
Yes, thank goodness he didn't die. I feel bad that we didn't, whoever killed him, it's beyond me. I feel bad that we didn't talk about Ben at all. I think we should utter his name. But
it's a great name.
As you said, Mr. Zero Screen Time.
Yeah, I said that as I was watching. Like, zero screen time. Like, he seemed like a nice guy. Everyone seemed to like him, but he just was not in the show. It must suck if you go on a show like this. You finally get onto Traitors, and then you're just not in it.
When the VTs of anyone leaving, especially this early, my heart feels like it's like breaking in my chest when they're like, I've had the best time, I've loved this game, I'm so sad, because they are, it's like it's your one opportunity, you go really early. It actually makes me feel so upset.
And they put that sad string music behind it, they fade it out.
So we're gonna get a Secret Traitors reveal, which is very exciting. Obviously lots of speculation on who it is. What did you think of Rachel saying, whoever walks through that door, we don't need them?
Well, she made a real blood pact with Stephen. They both promised not to write each other's names down. I guess because he had betrayed another traitor so swiftly.
Yeah.
I think she had to be like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. Let's try and be a team.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she would throw him under the bus, but I think later, I do think they will stick together
for the long run. I mean, the Secret Traitor is in the absolute weakest position. We have seen time and time again, anyone who gets recruited or anyone who, when they do that thing at the beginning where someone gets off the train and then rejoins the pack, they're instantly suspicious of and is not part of the original group. It's always about the originals stay together. They don't like anyone new. So the Secret Traitor's at a real disadvantage and will probably be thrown to the wolves by Stephen and Rachel semi-early.
It's like one of the most primal human psychology things of like the in-group and the out-group.
Yes.
The second you have been made an original group, you become stronger.
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't really mean anything. I feel sorry for the Secret Traitor because they had so much power, but then actually being forced to join the regular traitors, like you say, is the weakest possible position maybe.
Genuinely, yeah, because you're not in the faithful gang. You're not really in the traitor gang because you're not really one of them.
Unless you can come in and just be so good. Like, if it was Harriet, for example, the secret barrister who took out the real barrister, she would come in with a bit of heat of being like, well, look, I just took out Hugo. I could do some stuff. Maybe she could replace Stephen in Rachel's eyes.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Rachel only needs one.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. What a ride it's been. What a week it's been. We got a new dishwasher, by the way.
Woo! That story arc has now completed. It was Chekhov's dishwasher. We established it in episode 1. Resolved, like this series of The Traitors, resolved quite fast by episode 3. Here's the other thing, by the way. Stephen and Rachel are actually both a bit more precarious than I think they realise. Maybe they'll both be out anyway, and Secret Traitor will just survive anyway.
Maybe.
Okay, well, we'll see you next week for more Talk of the Traitors. Make sure to follow to be the first to hear when new episodes come out.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.